She cheated and tried to haunt my life, but when I sponsored a little league team, her own son ended up wearing my name all season. Before we start, tap like, hit subscribe, and turn on the bell. Let's go. The night my marriage ended smelled like fried noodles and cheap perfume. I brought home her favorite Thai food, humming while the paper bag went greasy in my hand. Extra spring rolls and pad Thai with shrimp. The kind of small piece offering a husband carries when he still believes love lives behind a familiar door. My boots creaked up the stairs. The key turned smooth in the lock, and I pictured her smile floating in the hallway mirror like a promise. Instead, the bedroom hit me like a slap. The door swung wide. The bag fell. Cartons burst. Noodles writhing across the carpet like pale worms. She was tangled in our sheets with a man twice her age. Gray hair stuck to his forehead. Sweat slicked his skin, and his belly sagged over her like a heavy curtain I never wanted. She grabbed at the blanket and gasped, "Wait, it's not what it looks like." The old man froze, mouth open, a deer in the dead center of my headlights. The room reeked of perfume and salt, and the warm garlic off the food rose like a joke I could not hear. My pulse hammered. Then something inside me clicked off like a breaker. I didn't shout, bargain, or perform. I backed out, closed the door, set the food on the counter with careful hands that did not feel like mine, and stared at the wall until it stopped moving. By dawn, I sat across from a lawyer, signing with a numb hand. No kids, no joint property, nothing binding us together but a thin line on paper that would vanish under a stamp. I walked out into a clean winter sun and told myself the worst was done. The rot cut out. I was alone, but at least I was free. Outside, winter air bit my throat and turned the perfume on my clothes sour. I looked at the grease blooming through the bag like an oil stain and snapped a photo. I texted a lawyer, "Do you handle divorces?" The reply landed at 6:07 a.m. "Come in at 9. I wore the jacket to the appointment and signed in silence. At least that is what I believed. The nightmare did not end that night. It learned my name, found my number, and waited for the next door I would unlock. After the divorce, I treated work like a lifeboat. My little freight company was mostly me and an aging truck, but the rhythm steadied my breath. Pallets thumped into place, straps ratcheted tight, diesel murmured under my boots, and black coffee sloshed in the cup holder while midnight highways unwound like blank tape. Each delivery felt like a brick set where something had been torn away, proof that I could rebuild with my own hands. At 2:13 a.m., the first tremor buzzed my phone. "I just want to talk." I stared until the letters blurred, hit block, and went back to invoices. A week later, a new account with her face and a fake name tried again. Block. Another ping. "You owe me." I laughed once into the kitchen hum and kept working. As business grew, a part-time driver, then a second, her messages lengthened into paragraphs about sacrifices, about how my success was built on us. When that didn't land, she went public. Facebook rants, DMs to mutuals, a stitched version of our year where I was a heartless workaholic and she was the tragic lead who had given me everything. A buddy texted a screenshot with a single question mark. I typed back, "Let her talk," and put the phone face down, so I built routines that made room for peace. I muted her name, filtered numbers to a folder I never opened, and taped a note over my desk that read payload, not drama. Mornings were fuel receipts and route sheets. Afternoons were docs that smelled like rubber and rain. Nights were spreadsheets under a lamp. When friends forwarded her posts, I replied, "Please don't involve me," and left it there. On payday Fridays, I handed envelopes to my drivers and reminded myself real life is signatures and schedules, not comment sections. When the screen lit at odd hours, I let it fade and kept working. Words were not enough for her. She wanted stage lighting. Holidays turned into drive-bys. Sometimes her sedan crawled past my porch with the window down and her eyes fixed like she was memorizing the grain of my door. Other nights she gunned the engine and let the bass rattle the street as if noise could knock for her. Friends warned me, "Be careful. She isn't stable." I believed them, but I refused to feed the fire. Silence became policy. Christmas Eve, I came home late and saw a dark car 3 houses down. Engine idling, screen glow painting a pale mask over her face. I stood on the sidewalk, lifted my phone, and took a picture. The timestamp gleamed like a quiet witness. She twitched and pretended to scroll. I went inside, locked the door, and emailed the photo to myself with the subject line, "If needed." Meanwhile, work kept its rhythm. Contracts multiplied. I wrapped my logo around 2 more trailers. The ledger finally felt heavier than the past. Through the grapevine, I heard about the man she had chosen, older and sicker and broke. Bad shape, someone muttered at the gas pump. You cannot build a future on someone else's exit ramp. But some people only learn when the road ends. Later, I installed a motion light and angled a small camera toward the curb. I was not hunting drama. I was building a record. A folder on my desktop gained a plain name, drive-by, and dates lined up like tally marks. A neighbor asked, "Everything okay?" I said, "Inventory," and he nodded. When the urge to answer her flared, I opened spreadsheets instead. Tire rotations due, driver rest hours, renewal dates circled red. Numbers do not lie. On hard nights, I wrote a message I never sent. Please stop. Saved it to drafts, and went to bed. The news arrived the way small-town news always does. Fast, blunt, and sideways between two errands. Heart attack. Gone. No sunset, no savings, no rescue raft. Overnight, she was a single mom with bills stacked like pallets and a child who deserved better than her shortcuts. For one breath, I felt pity. The body remembering kindness the mind wanted to forget. Then her smirk replayed, and the pity evaporated like rain on hot asphalt. My world moved in the opposite direction. Clients shook my hand. Drivers depended on my schedules. Checks cleared. I was not rich, but every mile felt earned. She moved back near her parents. At the grocery store, whispers followed the squeak of her cart. Neighbors practiced that particular half-sympathy people reserve for public mistakes. Poor thing. With eyes that meant, this is what pride buys. I stocked up on coffee and oil, nodded to the cashier, and went home to a quiet house that stayed quiet. Still, the old ache hummed whenever my phone lit up. I did not want to fight. I wanted a chapter without her name in it. And then, like a slow pitch crossing the plate, the idea arrived exactly where I could reach it. I kept my head down and drove. The cab heater rattled. Radio static faded between towns, and mile markers ticked past like advice. Keep going. At stoplights, I checked mirrors for a car I no longer expected. Habit is fear with its coat off. I let it go. At checkout, a clerk said, "Heard you're doing well," in a tone that meant she knew about the rest. "Trying," I said, bagging coffee, oil, ramen, and batteries for the porch camera. Near the exit, a bulletin board held flyers for bake sales, a lost cat named Peaches, and a spring sign-up. At home, I loaded the batteries, set coffee to drip, and opened email. Invoices to chase, a driver asking Tuesday off, a client thanking us for a save on a late pallet. Life stacked itself in front of me until the noise of the past dulled. Routine called me back. Between hum of the fridge and printer's clack, a shape of an answer began to form. It landed over beers, clean and simple as a checkmark. "You hear she signed her kid up for Little League?" my buddy asked. Eyes still on the game. I sipped and said, "Yeah, youth leagues are always hungry. Jerseys, gear, snack schedules, nothing pays for itself." My company had finally reached a place where a sponsorship would not dent the month. On paper, it would read as goodwill. In practice, it would be art. I could already see it. My company's name, my name, stitched across 20 small chests, running the bases while parents cheered. Every Saturday, every practice, every team photo would be a postcard to the part of her brain that insisted I had not won. "Thinking of sponsoring?" he asked. "Maybe," I said, pretending to weigh it. Inside, the decision clicked into place like a seatbelt. I would not gloat. I would not speak to her at all. Fabric and repetition would do what arguments never could. The next afternoon, I called the league number and reached a coordinator. "We always need help," she said. "Uniforms, equipment, field paint." I said I could cover a team and asked how to list the sponsor. "Whatever you print is what the kids wear," she laughed. We set a meeting for Thursday at the rec center to sign forms. The gym smelled like dust and orange drink. I slid a check across a folding table while a pitching machine thumped nearby. "Exact wording for the jerseys?" she asked. I wrote it like a contract with myself, OP Transportation. No slogan, no phone, just the name. She nodded. "Rosters are random." Perfect. I did not need a trick play. I needed time. That night, back at the office, I filed my copy of the packet and turned off the lights. In the window, my trailers lined the lot like ribs reflecting lamps. I imagined 20 jerseys under lights and a paper cup creasing in a hand. I would not have to raise my voice. Polyester would do the talking. The rec center lobby smelled like rubber floors and watered-down cleaner. A soft hum from vending machines buzzing under kids who chased their echoes up the stairwell. I met the league coordinator at a folding table freckled with paint and tape residue. She wore a whistle and the kind of smile built for getting stubborn parents to sign checks. "Uniform sponsor?" she said, clicking her pen. I slid an envelope across, light as a conscience finally paid, and printed the exact wording for the front. OP Transportation. No phone number, no slogan, nothing to soften the name. Bold letters, white on navy. "Perfect," she said. "Rosters are random, by the way." Music to my ears. I did not need a trick play. I needed time and repetition. A pitching machine thumped in the gym like a second heartbeat while kids lined along the bleachers, their cleats clacking like typewriter keys. I signed release forms, initialed boxes about logo placement and sizes, and shook hands as the coordinator tore receipts that still smelled like wet ink. "You'll be proud when they come in," she added. I would. I already was. Outside, late daylight washed the parking lot and lifted the edges of a paper banner that read opening day soon. I stood by my truck and let the thought settle. Every Saturday this spring, my name would jog past her whether she looked or not. That night at the office, I filed the packet under community, made a fresh pot, and mapped routes for Monday. The lot glowed under sodium lamps. My trailers lined up like ribs catching light. I imagined 20 jerseys under those same lamps. No speeches, no confrontation. Polyester doing the talking while I minded schedules and fuel logs. Before locking up, I drafted a note to my drivers. Remember to grab the cooler for Saturday. Then saved a calendar reminder named opening day. I closed the laptop to my reflection in the glass. The man looking back wasn't angry anymore. He was patient, and patience was working. Roster day landed with a dull ping in my inbox. Teams posted, spring season. I opened the link and scrolled past snack schedules, diamond maps, and coach emails until the list of names stacked like a tidy staircase. Half amused, I ran a finger down the roster for OP Transportation. Then I stopped. Her kid. Right there, fourth in the lineup, a name I knew from holiday cards and gossip, printed under mine like fate had a sense of humor. I refreshed the page. Same list. I took a screenshot and another for no reason except the human need to hold a moment still. The office fridge hummed. The clock ticked toward lunch. I leaned back, let out a breath I did not know I was holding, and felt something subtle unlock in my shoulders. I had not schemed or begged or raised my voice. I had written a check and printed a name, and now the universe had arranged the rest with a randomizer and a whistle. My phone buzzed with a driver's ETA and a buddy's meme about blown calls. I smiled at the noise and closed the laptop. For a second, I pictured her seeing the uniform for the first time, the split second where recognition outruns denial. Would she stand? Would she look away? It didn't matter. 5 letters would cross her field of vision all season whether she planned to or not. I walked the warehouse aisle, dragging fingers along the cool edge of a pallet rack, and listened to the forklift beep like a metronome. Paperwork could wait. I grabbed a marker and wrote good season on the whiteboard by the door. Simple, unblinking letters. Then I headed out for a round of deliveries with the windows cracked, the truck smelling like coffee and dust, and a steady, quiet grin I did not try to hide. At a red light, I tapped the brakes and felt the trailer settle. A tug like a reminder to keep things slow. The radio drifted between stations until a ball game cut through the static. An inning change, walk-up music fading. I pictured 20 caps tipping toward the dugout, and 1 pair of sunglasses freezing in the bleachers. Opening day tasted like dust and sunscreen. The aluminum bleachers squeaked, cleats clicked on concrete, and a coach's whistle chirped like an impatient bird. I kept my cap low and carried a small cooler to the dugout. Just another adult with bottled water and a Saturday to spend. Then the uniforms hit the field and the diamond turned into a billboard. Crisp navy, white letters across 20 chests, OP Transportation bright as a headline. The public address speaker crackled through feedback, thanked sponsors, and the crowd clapped in that warm, civic rhythm small towns keep in their bones. A dad in a camo hat thumped my shoulder. "You the OP guy? Appreciate you, man." "Happy to help," I said, eyes on the baseline where her kid tugged at his cap. She arrived with a folding chair and a coffee balanced like a prop, late enough to miss the warm-up but in time for the announcement. The second she saw the jersey, her mouth parted as if the air had skipped. She leaned toward another mom, whispered a sentence made of edges, and then sat so precisely you could have measured the space between her heels and the concrete. The coach barked, "Bats up." From the dugout came a chorus only children can deliver without irony. "Thanks, OP Transportation." The words bounced off the backstop and settled between us like bright dust. I texted a driver about a Monday route and pretended to read the reply twice. No gloating, no glance. Just the game, the steady slap of balls into leather, the dry pop of the infield, and the sun working on bare forearms. Her child singled in the second, shook his hands like he had electricity in his fingers, and smiled toward the bleachers. She clapped, too loud, too long, then froze when the team chant repeated at the inning break. I took a slow breath and let it go, the way you let a truck coast down a gentle slope when the engine has already done the work. By the third, I knew my plan required nothing but patience and a schedule. The season settled into a rhythm that fit into a pocket. Chalk lines at 9, sunflower seeds at noon, grass stains forever. She wore sunglasses even on cloudy mornings and practiced composure like a jacket one size too small. The tells leaked anyway. Fingers drumming the coffee lid. A quick throat clear when a parent said my name. The smile that snapped shut when the team photographer lifted his hand. Between innings, a grandpa in a washed varsity jacket shook my hand with palms like sandpaper. You kept this league afloat, he said. A kid tugged my sleeve, gap-toothed and breathless. Mr. OP, my bat's lucky now. I laughed and handed him a bottle from the cooler. Something shifted in that exchange. My revenge felt less like payback and more like putting weight under a wobbly table so the whole room could stop wobbling. She overheard a mom say, "Our sponsor's really involved," and tilted her head, voice sugar slick. Sponsor or publicity? The mom shrugged. Both can be true. A few seats over, someone added. He shows up. That counts. Her jaw flexed once, like a hinge in need of oil. Week by week emails landed in my inbox. Field changes, rain delays, picture day reminders, each with OP transportation bolded at the top. I let them pile like receipts in a drawer. A neighbor sent a sideline photo with my logo centered and her sunglasses reflecting the scoreboard. She's fuming, he wrote. I typed nothing. Saturday was commentary enough. In late May, the wind turned warm and carried lemonade from the concession stand. The kids learned to deaden bunts on the grass and to shout each other's names without teasing. Small, useful skills. Her child slid headfirst in practice, popped up grinning, dust in his teeth, and I found myself clapping first. She noticed, hesitated, and clapped after me, the sound oddly real. We were not a truce and we were not friends. We were two adults in the same bleachers learning, slowly, that a season is long and pride wastes energy you should save for late innings. Championship Saturday put bunting on the fences and a shine on everything. Parents filmed warm-ups like the moments might vanish if they were not trapped in rectangles. The air held that metallic smell fields get when the sun is high and the hose has just been shut off. We won by a run on a blooper that died in the grass and refused to roll foul. After the last out, the teams lined the base path for handshakes, and her child reached me first, eyes bright. Thanks, Mr. OP, he said, simple as a glass of water. Gratitude has a weight to it. This one sat down gently and stayed. She approached last, a forced cheer tugging at her mouth. Good game, she said to no one in particular, and hovered while the coach herded the team to the outfield for photos. Jerseys front and center, the photographer called, and 20 chests squared to the lens. OP Transportation marched in clean white letters across the row like a line you cannot argue with. The shutter clicked. Again, again. Each flash felt like sealing wax on a letter I had written months ago in ink called patience. Parents cheered, kids scattered for snow cones, and I gathered the empty cooler, nodded to the coach, and let the noise of the field swell behind me. No message sent. No victory lap posted. Just the season complete. Back at the truck, I looked at my hands and found them steady. The old anger had drained away somewhere between sign-up sheets and chalk lines and left behind something cleaner. Not triumph over her. Proof of me. I parked at the office long enough to pin the team photo to a corkboard above the route maps. 20 faces, grass-bright smiles, letters aligned. Evidence, if I ever needed it, that I could build something she could neither touch nor twist. The story did not end in a courtroom or a message thread. It ended here with a bulletin board, a cooler drying in the sink, and a name that would keep working long after the field went quiet. Sometimes the cleanest revenge is living well and letting your work speak for you. What would you do in my shoes? Go silent or engineer a reminder they can't ignore? Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next story.